The faces of Trumpism. Who are his supporters? Donald Trump's presence in American politics has never been subtle. Since his historic 2016 win, pundits, journalists, and political analysts have asked the same question over and over again. Who are these people who support him so fervently? Are they bound by ideology, emotion, identity, or something else entirely? This episode takes a deep dive into the makeup of the Trump voter base. White working-class voters. A major portion of Trump's base comes from the white working-class demographic. These individuals, often without a college degree, come from industrial and rural backgrounds. They've experienced decades of wage stagnation, factory closures, and what they perceive as a government that's forgotten them. Trump's messaging, "Make America Great Again," was more than a slogan. It was a promise of visibility. These communities often harbor deep skepticism toward globalism, which they associate with job loss and economic decline. Trump's focus on bringing back American manufacturing and renegotiating trade deals resonated as a lifeline to those economically left behind. His rhetoric did not just identify their struggles, it amplified them with national attention. Evangelical Christians. It may seem paradoxical at first. A twice-divorced, brash-talking billionaire, enjoying unwavering support from conservative Christians. But Trump delivered on what mattered to them: Supreme Court picks, anti-abortion policies, and public expressions of religious nationalism. To them, Trump was a flawed vessel for divine work. Many evangelicals perceived Trump's victories as spiritual wins. His recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital, rollback of transgender protections, and court nominations were seen as affirmations of Christian values. His personal flaws were often viewed as irrelevant next to the divine mission they believed he was fulfilling. Suburban conservatives and older voters. These voters are traditionally conservative, concerned about taxes, immigration, and national security. Trump's tough stance on border control, trade deals, and law enforcement aligned with their priorities. They see him as someone who gets things done. They were drawn to his image as a businessman who could run the country like a corporation. His aggressive approach to foreign policy, including his rhetoric on NATO and China, gave them the impression of strength and negotiation skill, traits they admired in leadership. Libertarians and anti-establishment voters. Trump's outsider status appealed to those who despised career politicians. His bluntness, unpredictable style, and disdain for the swamp made him a hero for many disaffected voters who simply wanted to shake up the system. These voters often overlap with conspiracy-minded communities, freedom of speech absolutists, and those who believe that government overreach is the greatest threat to liberty. For them, Trump was a battering ram against a system they no longer trusted. The online right and youth movements. Ironically, Trump gained a cult-like following among younger, online-savvy conservatives and meme culture warriors. Platforms like Reddit, 4chan, and later Telegram became hubs for spreading Trumpist ideology with a dose of humor and rebellion. This group used irony, memes, and trolling as political tools. They found joy in owning the libs, and Trump was their champion in disrupting the status quo with shock value. Their support often blended sincere political belief with chaotic cultural resistance. Why do they support him? Motivations behind the movement. It's easy to reduce Trump's appeal to anger, ignorance, or tribalism, but doing so misses the complexity of the motivations behind his support. From economic desperation to cultural anxiety, we'll explore the underlying reasons why so many Americans not only supported Trump, but adored him. Economic anxiety and the decline of the American dream. The 2008 financial crash left deep scars. Trump tapped into those wounds by promising jobs, tariffs, and protectionism. Many working-class voters felt that free trade agreements had sold them out. Trump's America First agenda gave them hope for revival. He often used emotionally resonant language to frame economic struggle as a shared trauma caused by the elite. His speeches referenced shuttered factories, failing schools, and hollowed-out towns, symbolic touchstones for economic despair. immigration and identity. For many of his supporters, immigration wasn't just about policy. It was about national identity. They saw a country changing too fast, becoming too unfamiliar. Trump's harsh rhetoric on immigration, his border wall promise, and travel bans echoed their fears and validated their perceptions. The fear of becoming a minority in their own country, real or imagined, drove anxiety about demographic change. Phrases like "build the wall" served as psychological fortresses for identity preservation. Anti-elitism and the war on political correctness. Trump portrayed himself as the anti-politician. His supporters relished his attacks on the media, the liberal elite, Hollywood, academia, and even his own party. They felt he said the things they weren't allowed to say, and admired him for it. Political correctness was viewed as an oppressive force that stifled expression. Trump, with his blunt, unfiltered style, was a liberation figure for those who felt silenced by modern progressive norms. Cultural nostalgia. Make America Great Again wasn't just about policy. It was about a feeling, a longing for a past where people felt safe, familiar, and in control. This romanticized past, real or imagined, formed the emotional core of Trumpism. Supporters often referenced a better time in American life, typically the 1950s or 1980s, when, in their view, traditional values dominated and global competition was less fierce. This nostalgia colored their entire worldview. Distrust in institutions. Years of perceived failure by Congress, the media, and even science created a vacuum. Trump filled it with certainty. His confident, sometimes aggressive declarations gave people a sense of stability, even if what he said was often factually incorrect. Trump thrived on crisis rhetoric. By declaring everything broken, elections, borders, media, he convinced supporters that only he could fix it. Doubting institutions wasn't a side effect of Trumpism. It was the core operating principle. The psychology of Trump. Loyalty and what it means for America beyond demographics and motivations lies something deeper. Psychology. What makes someone not just support a political figure, but remain loyal through scandals, impeachments, and global ridicule? In this final part, we explore the psychological frameworks and emotional bonds that define Trumpism. Authoritarian personality traits. Psychologists suggest that people with a high preference for order, tradition, and strong leadership are more inclined to support authoritarian figures. Trump's unyielding tone and dominance over traditional institutions appealed to these instincts. He signaled strength and certainty in an age of chaos, and for many, that made his moral shortcomings irrelevant. They preferred a flawed warrior to a polished appeaser. In-group versus out-group dynamics. Trump constantly framed issues as us versus them. Whether it was immigrants, the media, or Democrats, he cast them as threats to real America. This narrative reinforced tribalism and made supporters feel part of a persecuted but righteous group. He nurtured a collective victimhood, a shared sense that they are trying to erase us. This framing is emotionally potent, especially in times of rapid societal change. Social identity and personal projection. For many, Trump wasn't just a leader, he was a symbol. He represented who they wanted to be, rich, bold, unfiltered, and unafraid. By supporting Trump, they felt validated in their own struggles and empowered in their beliefs. He became a screen onto which supporters projected their frustrations, aspirations, and need for defiance. To criticize Trump was, in their eyes, to criticize them. Conspiracy thinking and alternative realities. From QAnon to election fraud claims, Trumpism embraced an alternate reality where the system is rigged and Trump is the savior. Belief in these narratives provided a sense of purpose and community. Conspiracies filled an emotional gap, offering answers in a confusing world. They offered the comfort of certainty, and Trump provided the script. Emotional connection and charisma. Love him or hate him, Trump knows how to command attention. His rally performances, punchy slogans, and combative humor forged an emotional bond with his base that goes beyond politics. It's personal. Many supporters describe attending a Trump rally as a euphoric, almost spiritual experience. The energy, the crowd unity, and the direct access to their hero fostered deep loyalty. Conclusion: Trumpism is not merely a political movement, it's a cultural and psychological force. Understanding the diversity, motivations, and mental frameworks of his supporters isn't about agreeing with them. It's about understanding the direction in which a significant portion of America is heading. And in that understanding, perhaps, lies the key to the country's political future.